Great to see you all. I am Suk Jin, professor at Dongguk University. I am currently working for the Special Committee for the Digital Asset or the Cryptocurrency. I am also working as a member of fact-finding for the CoinGate. And I have been working for financial institutions for 25 years before becoming the professional. I usually specialized in AML system establishment. I actually prepared 1 hour-long presentations, but I just given 5 minutes, so I have to shorten it in a big way. Anyhow, I am engaging in many different areas, and I am also the vice chair of Korea Anti-Money Laundering Society. There are many things that I'd like to share, but to the interest of time, I'd like to jump into the chapter 3. And the chapter 1 and 2 have been covered by other speakers, so let me just come to and jump into the chapter 3. So we have listened to many presentations, but I miss one thing. No one haven't defined what is a financial crime, because we just talk about financial institutions. As I delivered the lecture at the financial crimes at the university, the spectrum and the scope of financial crime is really wide. If you ask why the financial crime occurred, not many people can give the reason. The first is that many people just commit the financial crime because of the unresolved the emotion for some people, and the second is a financial purpose. And actually, most of the financial crimes are occurred because of the unresolved the emotion towards some other people. And many are the bank person said that imaginate the crimes to respond better to the crimes. The police are doing their job, but at the same time, the financial system should have a financial institution should have a system to defend and to detect the crimes and also the prevent repeatance crimes as well. And for the money laundering, we have new tools. In the past, that is the deposit and the actual asset. That's how we used to have the anti-money laundering, but now that have advanced into the cryptocurrency. The problem is that even though we have a certain system, we still have some issues coming out. The financial institutions have the FDS and AML system. They do have these two systems as the law asks them to have, but no matter how advanced no matter how advanced they have these systems, they can have a great result, because it goes like this: they judge whether it is the crime or not, and if it is not crime, they just let it go, and it has weaknesses. It have heavily dependent on the monitoring personnel. People make the final judgment, because the AI is great, but the final judgment should be made by people. But it is alert, and alert also can be operated based on the AI. But the alert help us to have a first judgment. Let's say the first judgment, call it legal transaction, and the second judgment, also second person to make a judgment, and then at the third judgment, they just ignore 2 rounds of judgment and make an independent judgment. However, instead, in general, they just based on the previous judgment to make the final judgment. So even though that is suspicious, they just accept it as a legal transaction. So FDS is more like we have FDS, and the other is AML, which is more focused on the the anti-money laundering. So these are the current system that we are having. Certain financial systems are having these systems independent, but actually most of the financial institutions have their AML system under the FDS. So to advance these systems, there are many things we can consider. But when it comes to the AML, deep learning and big data are the key. It has not that long for Korea to have AML. So we are not clearly see whether these should go to the AML or some other category. So around the mid and late of the 2000, we have an establishment institution to have the AML, but the sensitivity of money laundering was pretty still not that high. So the system itself do not show, many people doubt the performance of AML. That means no matter how quality big data we are having and we run the deep learning based on the quality deep data, the final judgment is made by human beings. So if that person is swayed by the precondition and the prejudice, then he or she cannot make the objective judgment. These are the area of AI. They can detect the patterns. There are strong AI and weak AI, and the check can be done by machine according to the system. The AI, the weak AI, is working on the system to check. But when it comes to the FDS and AML, rule is the key. Rule is everything. So what kind of rule you are having, it depends on, it shapes the performance. In terms of banks, they have about 400 rules, and the credit card company have 600 different rules, and cryptocurrency just have 20 to 30 rules. Key here is the performance of the rule will shape the result. The rule also have two things. First is a score, and the second is a model approach. What is really important is that when there is a traffic, the score can see whether that have some suspicious transaction, and model is based on the past transaction. And based on the past transaction, they just categorize what are the suspicious transaction. But the important thing is that we do not have previous cases for both of the system and both of the approach. So it is rule-based AI judges here, but they do not have any experienced data. So they are based on the random forest, and the decision tree are very limited. It may be improved if we have a better system. And then, first of all, there are prerequisites. That's my proposition. First thing is that we should put some burdens on the normal transaction. If there is any transaction, we have to see whether it is true or false. And also, if the transaction is suspicious, then we can just hold it and we can just let it go to the next process. But within the timeline, it takes a little long time to make that process. It gives some burden on the normal transaction, so we should avoid that. Second thing is that we have to improve convenience of customers. Detection rate is not important. How much we found out the criminal is really important. Detection can be increasing, but if we fail to finally judging whether which is the false detection or false transaction, that's the key. It's the detection rate, the so-called detection rate is less than 1%. So as Mr. Kang Minuk mentioned, there, the case of reporting to the government is increasing. It's about 1 million, but very little of them are considered as a false or illegal transactions. So that is pretty low. So we have to consider the efficiency. That's the situation that we are facing. And the third is efficiency. As I mentioned earlier, the performance should be improved. Then it requires a lot of investment. Because we have UCAI, and we also have an experts from Consilience, and we haven't verified your system, but I believe your performance is pretty good. And the important thing is that we should have all the reported data, the experience data, and we talk about share a lot, so we can share that too. And the number 7 is a white box technology. That is the key to all my presentation. When there is an accident, we should share the accident accident and incident. That should be into the white box, and everybody can open the white box to see and check the technologies. It's not about the privacy, but it's about accident pattern recognition. We can just use the anonymous, and the white box technologies should be shared by all the relevant experts. There's one reason for the financial institution is unwilling, because it may negatively working for their the reputation. So they are very reluctant to share their data through the white box technology. If there's any case in their bank, if they just put that into the white box technologies, even though there is no actual names on it, people can see what bank have more the accident cases. So it may damage their reputation. So many banks are not willing to share the white box technologies. Anyhow, I was supposed to deliver my presentation for an hour or 3 hours, but I will just try to summarize it. Important thing is that when we are realizing the real AI-based system, AI has been improved a lot, but the final decision should be made by people. And the people himself or themselves can falling into the mannerism, or they just to repeat the practices they have been doing in the past. Then no matter how good the system is, the result is not that good. That's the big risk that we have to consider. I am almost done. So to have anti-money laundering, we have to have preemptive technologies. That means AI-based AML system is highly required. So that's my conclusion. Thank you very much.
네.